You know that feeling when you're trying to explain something you're genuinely passionate about, but the person you're talking to just doesn't have the context to keep up? That's exactly the position the Marvel Cinematic Universe finds itself in right now. And before we even get into the meat of this, I want to share something with you. On this channel, we've gone deep. We've talked about the secret timeline, branched timelines, the original timeline, and that massive, sprawling concept of the multiversal tree. I've spent days researching things like Penrose diagrams, cosmic microwave background radiation, and the nature of infinity stones that existed before the singularity itself. All of that research, all of those deep dives, they were fueled by one thing: the promise of Kang and the chaos of the Multiverse Saga. When this saga was first announced, I had this image in my head of something terrifying, something awe-inspiring, something that would make the Infinity Saga look like a simple prologue. But if I'm being brutally honest with you, what we've gotten so far doesn't feel like it's even tapped into 10% of what the multiverse could be. And look, I know that sounds like the typical rant of a comic book fan who wants everything to be exactly like the source material. But this isn't about wanting a panel-for-panel recreation. It's about the soul of the story. The multiverse in the comics is a chaotic, beautiful, horrifying concept. In the MCU, it's felt complicated for the sake of being complicated, without the payoff we were hoping for. So that brings me to the point of today's video. With all this research I've done, with all these comic references floating around in my head, do I just throw in the towel? Do I start making videos like everyone else, just chasing the hype train? No. We're going to do what we've always done. We're going to break this down. Because recent reports about Avengers, Doomsday suggest that this movie is going to be dense. It's going to be complex. And, honestly, it has to be. The time travel, the multiversal rules, the variants, the incursions, this is what sets the MCU apart from every other franchise. But there's a massive elephant in the room, and its name is the casual audience. Think about it. The Infinity Saga was elegant in its simplicity. You had a big purple guy who wanted to wipe out half of all life because he thought it would save the universe. He needed some shiny rocks to do it. Easy. You didn't need a PhD in quantum physics to understand the stakes. But the Multiverse Saga? This requires homework. This requires understanding that changing the past doesn't change your future, but it creates a new reality. It requires understanding what a Nexus event is, what an incursion is, and why Doctor Strange in Multiverse of Madness felt like it was driving a car with the emergency brake on. The writers have a problem. They have to satisfy the fans who have read every comic and watched every Loki episode 3 times, but they also have to entertain the person who just wants to turn their brain off for 2 hours and watch things go boom. And that balancing act? That's why the multiverse is a risk. It's a hit in comics because the audience is niche and dedicated. In the cinema, it's a gamble. And when you've already shaken the foundation of the entire saga with off-screen drama and actor changes, that gamble gets even riskier. We're looking at a 3-hour epic in Doomsday. We're looking at countless characters, time travel, multiverse travel, and 6 different timelines all converging. And before we even get there, we have to look at the state of the Marvel multiverse right now. Because, spoiler alert, it's in danger. It's in a massive amount of trouble. And to understand how Doctor Doom fits into this puzzle, we have to go back to the beginning. We have to understand how we got here. When Marvel first said Multiverse Saga, we all leaned forward in our seats. We thought we were going to get creative, boundary-pushing stories. We thought we'd see the Spider-Verse level of creativity, but in live action. And sure, No Way Home did a fantastic job. It was a love letter to Spider-Man fans. But then we got to Multiverse of Madness, and it felt like the story took a hard left turn into a ditch. A lot of things that could have happened, that should have happened, just didn't. And the reason for that disconnect is simple. The multiverse is hard. It's not like explaining the Infinity Stones. Hey, these are 6 rocks that control different aspects of reality. Boom. 30 seconds, done. It's not like the Ancient One explaining that sorcerers pull energy from other dimensions. That's a tidy little explanation. The multiverse involves variants. It involves incursions. It involves the specific rules of how characters travel between universes. It involves understanding that in the MCU, time travel doesn't work like Back to the Future. When the Avengers went back in time in Endgame, they didn't change their own future. They created branch timelines. Those branches are realities where things are different. And those branches? They're infinite. They're everywhere. And when characters start hopping between those branches, they cause problems. This is what makes the MCU's version of the multiverse unique, but it's also what makes it so hard to explain to someone who just showed up for the explosions. You can't just glance at the screen and get it. You have to think about it. And for the casual viewer, that's a barrier to entry. The Infinity Saga never had that problem. We knew Thanos, we knew he wanted the stones, and we knew we had to stop him.
It was a straight line.
The Multiverse Saga is a tangled ball of yarn, and we're still trying to find the ends. And then came the announcement that shook the internet. Robert Downey Jr. is coming back. But he's not coming back as Tony Stark. He's coming back as Victor Von Doom. Now, part of me was thrilled because, come on, it's RDJ. But another part of me, and I know a lot of you felt this too, was conflicted. Can we really separate him from Iron Man? For over a decade, he was the heart of the MCU. Seeing him play a villain, especially one as iconic as Doom, is going to be a massive shift. But the fact that Marvel even considered this, the fact that they're willing to take that risk, tells me there's a bigger plan at work here. There has to be. But here's the problem. In Infinity War, we only had to understand one guy's obsession. In Doomsday, to explain what's happening, we might have to explain 15 different theories. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a whole segment of the audience that doesn't live and breathe this stuff. Think about your own life. How many people do you have on speed dial that you can call up and have a 2-hour conversation about the implications of the multiversal tree? Probably not many. I know I don't. I don't have a single person in my real life who I can sit down with and just talk about this stuff for hours without their eyes glazing over. That's the reality. Movies are made for those people too. They have to be. So let's get into the weeds for a second, because this is where it gets fascinating. In Loki Season 1, we were introduced to the sacred timeline. The big reveal was that the sacred timeline wasn't just one timeline. It was a singular thread made up of many different universes, all woven together, all forced to play out exactly as they were supposed to.
No branches. No chaos.
Just order. But by the end of Loki Season 2, that's all changed. Loki himself is now sitting at the end of time, holding together the multiversal tree. This tree is made up of countless branch timelines. This is the multiverse now. But this creates a massive, brain-bending question. When these branch timelines were created, did new universes pop into existence instantly? Think about it. In the sacred timeline, you had a finite number of universes. But in the multiversal tree, the number of branches is infinite. So, did all of these infinite universes just spawn into being fully formed at the moment the tree was created? And if so, does the history of a branch timeline perfectly match the history of its parent timeline up until the point it branched? If it does, that means billions of years of history had to be simulated, created, instantaneously? That doesn't make sense, right? It puzzled me for a long time, but after digging into it, the answer lies in how time travel works in the MCU. Remember the golden rule. Changing the past doesn't change the future. So let's use Earth 616 as our example. Every single time someone from the future traveled to the past, they created a fork in the road. That fork is a branch timeline. That reality, from the point of the change onward, is different. It has a new history. From a physical perspective, standing on Earth 616, you wouldn't see this branch. It's not like a tear in the sky. But from a perspective outside of time, like the TVA's perspective, you can see these branches. You can see the timeline forking, creating a new path from point A to point B. Now, here's the key. In the sacred timeline, these branches existed too. They were just pruned. He Who Remains made sure of it. But now, with He Who Remains gone and Loki in charge, those branches are allowed to grow. They're allowed to flourish. And when characters from one universe start interfering with another, it gets messy. When Doctor Strange from 616 traveled to Earth 838 in Multiverse of Madness, he didn't bring his entire timeline with him. He brought his timeline, the specific path of events that made him who he is, and it merged with the events of that universe. This creates a chain reaction. Every time someone travels, a new branch is created. Every time a variant makes a different choice, a new branch is created. The web you see in the multiversal tree? That's not just pretty imagery. That's a physical representation of the chaos. Every strand is a character's journey, intersecting with another character's journey from another universe. It's a tangled mess. And the more time travel happens, the more multiversal hopping happens, the more unstable that tree becomes. What does unstable mean? It means incursions. It means universes crashing into each other, destroying each other. The more the Avengers travel, the more Doctor Strange travels, the more Deadpool travels, the faster the incursions happen. This is exactly what He Who Remains was talking about. He described a multiversal war where his variants met each other, and that meeting led to chaos and destruction. The only difference now is that instead of Kang variants, we have the heroes doing the traveling. We have Deadpool and Wolverine bouncing through voids and timelines. We have Spider-Man pulling villains from other realities. It's all multiversal travel. And in the comics, the TVA or a similar organization used to stop this by pruning timelines, by destroying them. And now, in the MCU, the heroes are going to have to face the music. They're not going to destroy worlds as brutally as the TVA did, but they might not be able to save them either. And I've only touched on one element here, timelines. I haven't even gotten into the heavy stuff. But you can already see how intricate this is. And when you have theories this complex running through your head, you have to be careful who you talk to about them. You can't bring this up at a dinner party. You can't explain this to your coworker who only saw Endgame because their friend dragged them to it. Then there's the concept of anchor beings. This was introduced in Deadpool and Wolverine, and it's a game changer. Paradox explained that every universe has an anchor being. When that anchor being dies, the universe around them starts to collapse. Wolverine was the anchor for the X-Men universe. And when you look at that from a perspective outside of time, it gets weird. He was either going to die, is dying, or has already died. All of these states exist at the same point. This implies that when the X-Men's sacred timeline was created, it was already decided that their timeline would eventually decay. That's a dark thought, and it's something that needs more explanation. But let's look back for a second. Remember all the rumors surrounding Multiverse of Madness? Remember the hype? We were told this movie would feature things fans had been waiting for forever. Dr. Doom was rumored to be mentioned. Tom Cruise was rumored to play a superior Iron Man. Tobey Maguire was rumored to show up. And what did we get? We got a variant of Captain Marvel who felt like a cheap knockoff. We got a Captain America variant whose friend is, what, becoming a monster? It felt underwhelming. Mr. Fantastic, who in the comics is a genius strategist, was just standing around. We got flashes of characters that meant nothing. And I have a genuine complaint about No Way Home, as much as I loved it. When Toby and Andrew showed up, we didn't get to see what happened to their universes after the events of the movie. We saw their villains get cured, but because of the MCU's time travel rules, curing them in the past shouldn't have changed their future. So showing their universes would have been tricky, but wouldn't it have been amazing to see just a few minutes of how their worlds had evolved? It felt like a missed opportunity. And then Deadpool and Wolverine comes along and throws another wrench in the works. Paradox explains that when Deadpool time travels and changes things, it does affect the present. That directly contradicts the rules set up in Endgame. So, which is it? Does changing the past change the present? Or does it create a branch? This inconsistency is maddening for die-hard fans. It's like the rules of the multiverse are made up as they go along. So, where does this leave us? We have nexus beings. We have anchor beings. We have branch timelines and incursions. All of these elements have only one possible outcome, a never-ending cascade of timelines crashing into each other. Everything we've seen, from Loki to Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania to the Marvels, has been pointing to one thing. The only outcome left is incursion. And this is exactly what Avengers Doomsday is going to be about. Think about it. What wasn't supposed to happen has happened. He who remains is dead. The multiverse is flourishing, but it's also decaying. The entire multiverse is being destroyed by its own growth. And who's going to step in to try and fix it? Dr. Doom. Doom will see the chaos, the instability, the incursions, and he will believe that only he can save reality. He will try to fix it, to stitch it back together, to impose order on the chaos. But here's the thing about Doom. His ego is as big as his intellect. His attempt to fix things is going to be just as destructive as the problem itself. His solution will fail. It has to fail. Because that failure is what leads us to Secret Wars. And the rumors are already flying that Secret Wars might be split into two parts. That's how massive this story is. We're not just dealing with a threat to Earth. We're dealing with a threat to every Earth, to every universe, to the very concept of reality.
So, what do you think?
Is the MCU's multiverse too complicated for its own good? Or are you ready for the complexity? Are you excited to see how Doom tries to fix this mess? Or do you think bringing RDJ back is a mistake? I want to hear your thoughts. Seriously, drop a comment down below, and let's get a conversation going. This is the kind of stuff we need to be talking about. If you're new to the channel and you've made it this far, you're clearly one of the people who loves this universe as much as I do. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We've got a long road to Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I'm going to be here breaking it all down every step of the way. Like this video if you want to see more deep dives like this one. It helps the channel more than you know. That's all I've got for you today. As always, I'm your watcher from Earth 53, signing off. Take care of yourselves, have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Love you, bye.